Hey, welcome back to History Rescue. On tonight's episode, we're going to do a Remington Nylon 66 complete disassembly for you. This example is pretty used and abused. It's missing a few pieces. It's missing a rear action screw and has a broken charging handle, which is pretty common on these. But we're going to get it completely stripped down for you and show you how it's done. As always, our videos are meant to be informational for you so you can clean and maintain your own firearms. If you have any serious issues, it's recommended you take it to a competent gunsmith. The charging handle is broke on this, so I've already cleared the rifle. Let's get going. Alright, the first thing we got to do is get this charging handle out. Normally you can just take and pull it straight out. Like I said, this one is broken off, so we've got to get in here the best way we can and just give it a good tug, and it'll come right out, or what's left of it. Next thing you'll do on these is take the action screws off. You've got your front one here and your rear one. Mine is missing, but you should have another action screw right here as well. And those will just come right out. Now you'll pull your action cover. Should come, if it's not stuck on there from years of not cleaning, your action cover is supposed to come right off the top. This rear sight assembly, it is riveted on, as well as your spring tension for your bolt here is all riveted to this cover. Unless something is broken or wrong with those, I would leave those be. There's no need to mess with them. Get you a little brush and some cleaner and go in there and clean that sight if you need to. Short of the sight and that spring, that's just a sheet metal cover. There's nothing else in it. Next thing we'll do, we'll flip it over and we'll take this screw out. This screw is your barrel retainer. Might want to hold onto your barrel a little bit, because when this comes loose, your barrel will sometimes pop out the end before you're ready. You get that screw good and loose, and stick it back in there and give it a push. Well, hang on a sec. Normally you can get it loose and push, and I'll push this barrel lock up. This one seems a little stuck. There it goes. And then your barrel will just slide right out the front of your stock. And this little guy right here that fell out is your ejector. It just sits right here in this little groove. Sometimes when you take the barrel out, the recoil spring will push that bolt forward, and it'll just push that little ejector out. And we'll go ahead and remove that.
That is one nasty barrel.
Yes, that was pretty rusty and neglected. Alright, we'll take and pull this bolt back out of your way. Now right here, this is your lock for your barrel. You'll pull that up, and there'll be a little sheet metal tab in here as well that needs to come up. Sometimes it comes up, sometimes it stays in the hole. It did come up this time. It'll ride on this little pin right there, and that's what you'll slide your barrel in, and it goes in that lock. And as you tighten that screw up, it'll push this sheet metal lock up into the bottom of the barrel and lock it all in place. Stick those out of the way real quick. And we'll go ahead and take the front sight off and get that barrel completed. Like most Remingtons, the front sight's pretty simple. Just a couple screws. Make sure you get a proper fitting screwdriver, that way you don't mess your screws up. And that should just come right off of there with both of your screws. And that barrel will be ready to get cleaned and get the rust taken off of it and get re-blued, and that'll be in another video. Alright. Now you can take your bolt and just pull it straight forward and it'll come out on your spring and your guide rod. Alright, now to take your bolt apart, the pin here that holds your firing pin in, these are staked in the downward position from the factory. Normally you can just get you a little punch and knock them straight out. Sometimes if you can't, you might have to get a little pick in there and try to bend them out straight. But 9 times out of 10 you can just knock them straight out if you give them a little tap. And there's that pin. It's hard to show you, but you can see how it's angled in the downward position on either side. And then you'll want to hold your firing pin with your thumb and pull your punch out there. And your firing pin will come right out. Then on your cartridge guide here, it's just held in with a roll pin. It's easy enough. Give her a couple good little taps, it easily comes out. Give it a couple good taps. And it'll come right out of there. And there's your cartridge guide. Now, your extractor isn't the super easiest thing to get out. It functions like most extractors. You got to reach in here and pull the spring back and then wiggle your extractor out. Sometimes it just takes a few minutes to fiddle with it. Alright, I about got this thing ready to pop out of here. There it is. Then you'll have your plunger and your spring. And how this sets in there, the plunger sets in the spring, and then your extractor sets in and then pops into the hole, and this plunger comes up and locks into this little groove. So what you basically have to do, it's just like most extractors are made this way. You got to come in with a little pick or something, and you've got to pull this spring back far enough for the ejector to, extractor to slide out of the hole, and then you can remove your pin and your spring and plunger. So here's your bolt disassembled with your extractor, pin, spring. Here's your firing pin, your firing pin spring, which goes in this little slot, your firing pin retaining pin, which will go through here and through this slot. That's what gives it spring rebound tension. And there's your cartridge guide and your cartridge guide roll pin. Alright, next thing we'll do is take our magazine out, and you'll just twist that and pull it straight out. Your magazine with your follower. If you ever need to take this apart, you simply take this pin and drive it out. This cap will come off. There's a spring in there that'll launch across the room, and then your follower will dump out this end right here. And clean it all up. Whatever you need to do to it, put it back together. When you drive your pin in, it needs to be flush on one side and sticking out on the other. That way it can lock into the outer magazine tube in the stock. We're not going to take that apart. There's no need to. But if you need to, that's how you do it. Alright, now for the fun part. A lot of people get nervous about this part. These nylon 66s are fairly simple. They look like they're not, but they're fairly simple. First thing we're going to do, we're going to remove our striker and spring. You're going to want to put your thumb over there to cover that, because it is under considerable spring tension. So you'll hold that, make sure your weapon is on fire, and then you'll pull your trigger and slowly release that striker. Pull it straight out the front. Then you'll remove your tube and your spring. Sometimes they come out together. Sometimes the tube wants to be stubborn. It'll just come right out. Alright, the next thing, we're going to take the outer magazine tube out. And if you'll look right here, there's a little horseshoe shaped clip. Let me see if I can get my pick under there and stay out of y'all's way. It's this little clip right here. Just get you a little pick under there and pull it straight up. Straight up mount. Looks like a little staple. That holds your magazine tube in. You get you a pair of pliers. Reach into the stock if you can get to it. If not, you might need to use your little pick. You can grab a hold of your magazine tube and just pull it straight out. Now, I will tell you, keep an eye on your orientation of your recess for your inner tube when you put it in. Because this will go in one way or 180 degrees the other way. And if you put it in 180 degrees the other way, when you twist your magazine tube, it's going to be opposite of what you're used to. Either way will work, but one of them is a little awkward. Next thing we're going to do is take the trigger guard out. Fairly simple. You knock this pin out right here. Most of these pins come out fairly simple on these. There's your pin. Your trigger guard will rotate down and then pull forward and it'll come straight off. There's nothing else to the trigger guard, that's just one solid piece. Alright, next we're going to take the sear out. That's going to be this larger pin. All the pins are the same size except for this one bigger one. That'll be your sear pin. We'll go ahead and take it out. It does have a spring on it. Pull that straight out. That'll pop out, and then you have a spring stuck down there. You just hook that and pull it straight out. That'll be this spring is your sear spring, and then this will be your sear. Put those to the side. Now you should be able to pull this pin straight out the back. It's easier said than done sometimes, because it's got a little lip on it that's held in by the side of the nylon. If the gun's never been apart before, this pin will sometimes be a bear to get out. There is a spring and a detent ball under here, but it doesn't usually come flying out at you. I usually just use a pick. I'll get behind the little head right here and just pull it straight out. There's your spring. And then there's a relatively large detent ball in here. It'll just fall right out. That's your safety detent ball. Now, you can just take your safety and pull it back and up and wiggle it, and it'll come out, or it should. Sometimes you might have to reach inside and find it. wiggle it around and get it to come out. You gotta take the safety retaining pin out first. That usually helps. Just push that straight out. Now you can take your safety out. And it'll come straight back and sort of up at an angle and come straight out. Just like this. If you ever need to take it apart, there's just a little pin right there. Drive it out and it'll separate the two halves. I honestly don't see no reason anybody probably ever have to take that apart. Next, we'll take our trigger out. That's this spring, this pin right here. Your trigger does have a return spring on it, so sometimes it might pop loose on you. Go ahead and pull that pin out. Now your trigger, you just wiggle it and pull forward on it, and it'll come right off of its spring and come up and out. This little arm right here is where your trigger return spring hooks onto and just pulls it back where it needs to be. Alright, next we're going to take this. This comes out as an assembly. You get your whole disconnector and pivot assembly. You're going to take this, get you a little pick or something and get up underneath here. There's a spring. You just get your pick under there and pull it straight forward and unlatch it from the frame right there, and it'll come loose. Then, this is kind of tricky because the pin doesn't go all the way through. It's got two short pins that just goes through the frame and one side of the disconnector, and the other side has a short pin that goes through the frame and that side of the disconnector. So you got to reach down in here you gotta either reach down in there and push them out from this side, or sometimes you can gently tap them from the outside and push them through on the center. We'll try that. And sometimes they'll go, sometimes they don't want to go. Sometimes you gotta push them out from the inside. Oh, that one went right through. Let's try this other one here. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll go through too. Yeah, that went right through. And we'll go in there and hook your disconnector and bring the whole assembly out. And then you should have two pins in there hiding somewhere. There's one of them. And there's the other one. This spring right here is your trigger return spring. When you go to put your trigger back in, this spring is the one that you will hook onto the tip of your trigger, just like so, when you go to put it back together. This other spring is your disconnector return spring. Unless something's wrong with those, I probably wouldn't take them off. If you need to, you just have to wiggle them off of there, easy enough. You can squeeze the pivot right here and get it apart if you need to. Probably no real reason to ever have to do that unless it's broken. Let's put that back in there real quick. Alright, next we're going to take out the cartridge stop, which will be this piece right here. And there is a spring under there. Oh, there's Marshmallow, the guard cat over here, making his appearance. You'll take this pin right here. If you don't even need a hammer most of the time on the pins on these. Just push them and it'll pop right out. There's your cartridge stop spring, your pin, and your cartridge stop. Now, the next part here is the hardest part of this whole gun to get apart. It's this cartridge guide right here. All you gotta do to get it apart is push it. Falls that right out the bottom. And that really is the hardest part on this gun to put back together. And it takes a few minutes, and there's a trick to getting it back in. If you really want to, there's a screw at the front and a corresponding square nut on the back side at the front and the rear, and there's a steel tube right here. If you're just so inclined to taking those apart, you can take those out. You can take and push the steel tube out. It'll slide right out. You don't need to. They don't go to anything. They're just to give the receiver structural stability. They don't go to nothing. So if you don't want to take them apart, there's no need to, unless you just really want to. But that is the Nylon 66 completely stripped down. Alright, and there you have your Remington Nylon 66 completely disassembled. We got the parts ordered for this thing to put it back right. Gotta clean it up, get some of that rust off of there. Maybe have to do a little rebluing, I'm not sure yet. You can catch us in our next video. We'll get it all put back together. And as always, if you like these videos, they help you out any, please like, comment, subscribe. Me and my daughter make these videos along with old Marshmallow the guard cat here. And anytime you can like, comment, subscribe, that helps us out to get more out to you. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.